Diesel Days at the Illinois Railway Museum, located in Union, Illinois, is a must-visit event for anyone interested in historic diesel locomotives and trains. Located just over an hour west of Chicago, the IRM holds its Diesel Days once per year in August. For the 2025 edition, we would start by catching Santa Fe 92, an FP45 under threatening skies. This locomotive was on the Mainline Take the Throttle train for the day. The 92 was high on our list as a personal favorite type of locomotive. We would get a few shots of the train as it headed out onto the Mainline and western half of IRM trackage. We would watch as it met Metra F40C and Chicago and Northwestern 411. At the caboose train, we would watch our first locomotive swap. Illinois Terminal GP7 number 1605 is pulling away from the 4 caboose cut. Taking its place was a locomotive that was high on my list, Union Pacific 1848, a B40-8. This was the first -8 in preservation and was donated to the IRM in 2014. Built in 1988 for the Cotton Belt, this is one of the youngest locomotives in modern preservation. With threatening skies to the west, the 1848 heads east onto the main line with the caboose train. Railroads on the caboose train today included the Milwaukee Road, Chicago Great Western, Union Pacific, and Illinois Central Gulf. With the caboose train out, we would turn our focus to the mainline trains. Another hit for the weekend was the ABA set of E-units being used on the coach train. Power for this train was recently refreshed BN E9A 9976 Wisconsin and Southern E9B 102, and Iowa Pacific E8A 515. In this scene, they are shoving the coach train back to Union. The BN 9976 had its nose freshened up for diesel days in 2025. The next train up was the Nebraska Zephyr with Metra F7A number 308. This classic F unit looked right at home hauling the streamlined set. After meeting at the east end of the railroad, the Union Pacific 1848 returns with the caboose train. This would be the only trip that the B40-8 would make on this day. With the caboose train in the clear, the coach train would go back out with the trio of units. The cars being used for the coach train today are the Milwaukee Road Dynamometer car, Bessemer Combine, Duluth Mesabi and Iron Range Day Coach, and 2 Lackawanna commuter coaches. Back at the caboose train, we found BN1 and F9A getting ready to head east with the train. This F unit was used by Burlington Northern, and inside is essentially a GP38-2 and an F unit body. In the second half of the day, the Nebraska Zephyr would be back out with the famous CB&Q 9911A, a rare E5A. This E unit is distinctive for its nose, which is more slanted than later E units. The next train to get ready would be the former Chicago Northwestern commuter train set powered by C&W 411. This train included 4 former Chicago Northwestern American Car and Foundry commuter cars. We would ride this train before continuing to catch more action in the afternoon. During the 2025 diesel days, there are a few locomotives making their debuts. Included in this was Metra F40C, a rare F40C, Amtrak 231, an F40PH, and BNSF 9400, the first SD70 Mac. Back on museum grounds, we would catch the return of the caboose train with BN1. We made sure to get a shot of the F unit meeting the BNE unit in the yard. With the caboose train cleared, the grand finale for the weekend would commence. The C&W commuter train would depart with the C&W 411 and Metra F40C, one of two remaining F40Cs. This would be the first public trip for the recently delivered EMD. During this trip, it would just be used as a cab control unit with the 411 providing power. Having seen the F40Cs at the very end of their service careers on Metra, seeing the 614 roll again was a highlight of the event for me. After meeting the commuter train out east, the Nebraska Zephyr would shove back into the grounds for the final time of Diesel Days 2025. Our closing shots of Diesel Days 2025 would be of the 614 leading the commuter train back to the museum grounds. We would get some nice drone shots of the trains as Diesel Days 2025 comes to a close. In our closing shot, we watch as F40C 614 leads the train back into the depot. We would get a great overview of the grounds as Diesel Days comes to a close.